Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tabor Talk. It's Saturday, May 22nd, and what an incredible week for JRE, the Joe Rogan Experience. Look at this lineup. Andy Norman on Tuesday, by the way, he's a philosopher, they're discussing, here we go, good thinking, critical thinking. Why flawed logic plus I'm sorry, let me try this again. Why flawed logic puts us all at risk and how critical thinking can save the world. This is an awesome book. Actually, it wasn't written by Andy Norman, but the similar thrust, David Robert Grimes, okay? Wednesday, Whitney Cummings, she's always fun. Sebastian Junger, I'm going to talk about him in a minute. And then yesterday, the guy from the Counting Crows, Adam Duritz. What an amazing podcast. Okay, so Thursday, Joe had Sebastian Junger. I know Joe tapes it. He probably interviewed him, did the podcast on Wednesday, and they uploaded it on Thursday. And before, at the very beginning, Sebastian Junger talked about his NDE, near-death experience. I had an NDE, near-death experience, in 2014. I've done several videos on that, so I'm not going to get into it here. But let me play a little bit of this, and I'll talk for a second. This is Sebastian Junger. This is crazy. He almost died. Listen.
Check it out. The Joe Rogan Experience. During my day, Joe Rogan podcast by night, all day. Support for the JRE comes from Goal Zero. There's a new way to back
fucking
up
commercials. I'll be back in a second. Let me get rid of this shit. Yeah, that's the problem now, Joe, on Spotify. It's really not a big deal, but you have to endure 10 or 15 minutes before the podcast starts with Joe reading copy. Joe's not very good at it. Some podcasters are really good at reading. I've actually done a video on it. Like Tim Dillon's very good. He makes the commercials just as entertaining as the podcast sometimes. Joe's not very good at it, but that's just a minor thing. Okay, and the thing is, when you pause and rewind, then it starts from the beginning. They got you. Another 10, 15 minutes of boring ads. Okay, I'm not complaining, but here we go. Sebastian Junger almost died. Watch.
Good to see you, man. How are you?
Really good. Very good to see you too.
I see you're very prepared.
Yeah, look at all those notes on those note cards. Yeah,
serious stuff.
yeah.
We were talking before. There's so much to talk about, but we were talking before, and you were saying that over the last year, you almost died because you had some crazy.
This guy's in amazing
internal
shape too. Doesn't drink
you
or
had
anything.
An aneurysm in your pancreas. Is that what we said it was?
Yeah, I had an undiagnosed asymptomatic aneurysm, which is a sort of ballooning in the blood vessel, in the artery, in my pancreatic artery. And out of the blue, it was a congenital thing. Like I apparently had developed during my whole life. It was just from a structural problem. And one afternoon, one beautiful June
So
afternoon
fucking
last
scary,
year,
man.
it burst.
It could happen.
And,
let me just pause. A perfectly healthy guy, like my age, he's a couple of years older maybe. Doesn't drink or smoke. He's a marathon runner. Totally into health. He's a risk taker, if you know Sebastian Junger. He's covered wars and everything. He's been on Joe before. But yeah, scary shit. But let me just continue.
pain shoot through my stomach. I was like, damn, what is that? And within a few minutes, I couldn't stand up. And within about 10 minutes, I would start to go blind.
Do you hear that? It's
and
crazy.
my wife called the ambulance, and those guys got there, and I was tanking really fast. And the hospital is an hour away. And by a miracle, I don't even think the doctors understand it, but by a miracle, I was still alive when I got to the hospital. I lost 90% of my blood into my abdomen. I didn't know I was dying, but I was dying, and I was right in that sort of twilight zone. And a black pit opened up underneath me, and I felt myself starting to get pulled down into it, and I didn't want to go. Like, it was cold and dark and black and bottomless, and I just knew, like, do not go down there. I was getting pulled down into it, and right at that moment,
That's crazy.
my father, who passed away in 2012, my father sort of appeared next to me and started trying to communicate trying to communicate with
Let
me.
me just
and
pause for a second.
comfort
I'm
me.
not going to keep interrupting, but I had an NDE in 2014. I fell from an embankment, 22 or 23 feet. I broke my back. Bottom line is I died in the hospital. It's a long story. I don't know if I was officially dead, but I was out. Same sort of thing. When I was dying, I was calling for my father. And, well, I'm not going to get into it here. Let me just continue. Oops.
And I sort of waved him away. And the last thing I remember saying to the doctor, I was sort of losing consciousness. And the last thing I said to the doctor was, "You're losing me right now. You got to hurry." He was trying to he'd cut my neck open. He was trying to put a line into my neck to, they pumped 10 units of blood into me, and that's what brought me back. It was really close.
Wow. When you say you felt like you were sinking into a pit, like, were you seeing this? Visualizing it?
I mean, your perceptions are very weird because very little oxygen in the brain. I'd have a hemoglobin count of 1.2. If you're a doctor, you know what that is. It's almost unheard of. And so I just felt this pit underneath me, and it was pulling me into it, and I didn't want to go.
And
He's
you can
dying.
see a pit? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
sort of?
again, see/feel. Your perceptions are very weird when you're like that. And then my father also was sort of floating above me. He was a presence. I don't know if seeing him is quite the word. It's another perception.
Wow.
Yeah.
So coming out of that, once you regained your health, you must have had an incredible newfound appreciation for all the people in your life and just everything.
It was a long path. I mean, I'm a really healthy guy.
See?
The doctor said, it was I was a marathon runner when I was young, and I don't drink. I'm athletic, and I use my body pretty vigorously. And he said that saved your life. Like, you didn't have a heart attack. Like, you owe your life to that. And,
Oh, wow.
But the next morning, I didn't know that I'd almost died. I had no idea. I have two little girls. I have a 4-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and they're the most precious things to me. I mean, I can't even describe it, obviously. And the fact that they almost lost their dad was just devastating. When the ICU nurse came in and said, "How are you doing, Mr. Junger? You're one lucky guy. You almost died yesterday." I had no idea. And then she came back an hour later, and she said, "How you doing?" And I said, "Physically, I was throwing up blood. I was not doing very well physically, but I said I was. I said, but I'm really struggling with what you told me, and it's really terrifying. I didn't know, and I mean, I said I almost died in my own driveway in front of my family, and I didn't even know. And I said, I keep thinking about it. I can't stop. And she said, one of the wisest things I've ever heard. She said, stop thinking of that moment as scary and start thinking of it as sacred. And she didn't elaborate. She didn't need to. And the next 5 days in the ICU, I thought about the word sacred and what the experience was now giving me access to. And, not to sound sort of like trite, but life is a friggin' miracle. And, I'm not religious, whatever. I don't think few of us, I certainly didn't quite understand what a miracle it is that we're alive, that we
Okay, I'm
exist.
going to pause it right here. You could just go on. I'll post it. Well, I don't even know if I have to post it or put it in the comment section, but just go on Spotify, number 1655. What's interesting is he's an atheist still. Before my accident, I was basically agnostic, and now almost 100% believer. I don't know. That's another video. Okay, pretty crazy stuff. Sebastian Junger on Joe Rogan, number 1655. Good friends, good books, and a sleepy conscience. Peace, love, and understanding here in Tabor Talk.